Let's bring in our panel who's also following this story very closely. We have with us Kamran Bukhari, is the founding director of the Center for Global Policy in Washington. And we also have Stewart Webb, editor at the DefenceReport.com, joining us this evening. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate your time on CTV News Channel on this breaking news that we are tracking right now. Kamran, I'll make a start with you. What's your assessment of what's unfolding in front of us this night?
Well, I don't think that the Iranians have fully figured it out yet as to, how they will retaliate. And this isn't the last. But they needed to do something as a placeholder while they figure out what they will do, because it's not easy. Their provocations over the past several months with the attacks on the oil tankers, the downing of the U.S. drone, the dozens of rocket attacks on U.S. military personnel, which led to the death of the contractor on December 27th, the attack on the Saudi oil fields. All of those provocations were ignored by the United States until the death of the contractor. And in response, the United States eliminated Soleimani. So the Iranians are now worried that if they escalate further, they have a lot to lose. So they're still figuring that out. But in the meantime, they needed a placeholder thing. And, Iraq is their territory. These are their stomping grounds. The Iraqi government is full of their allies. I can't believe that they pulled this thing off without informing their allies. And their allies are caught between Washington and Tehran. So the allies communicated to the Americans, gave them a heads up. The Americans were already in the process of, securing their facilities and personnel. And the Iranians knew that. But they needed to do a show and tell, and this is what they did.
Interesting. Stewart, what do you think of what Kamran is saying at this given point of time, and what's your assessment?
Well, I agree. Of course, the issue, for Iran is to try to figure out what to do in the short term, right? Soleimani's funeral is happening as we speak. They need to save face. Of course, the interesting thing is attacking the base at Erbil, where not only U.S. Special Forces are, but also Canadians and also Italians and our other allies. Of course, going forward for Iran, they're going to need to figure out a longer-term strategy. So are they going to increase things in Yemen, Lebanon? Are they going to increase armament supplies in Africa, which they have in the past, just to make things worse for the United States? And of course, for the Trump administration, they've gotten rid of diplomacy. They've decided that they're going to pull out the nuclear deal. They're going to impose huge economic restrictions onto Iran without actually telling Iran essentially really what they really want, aside from just curb your nuclear ambitions. So for the Trump administration, they really need to figure out what their gameplay is after this, because literally Iran's showing their cards at the same time.
Oh, in fact, we have a fresh reaction that's coming in right now from Javad Jafri from Iran at this given point of time on this latest attack that's really come in. Let's take a read of what he's saying on Twitter. He says, Iran took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense under Article 51 of UN Charter targeting base from which cowardly armed attack against our citizens and senior officials were launched. We do not seek escalation or war, but will defend ourselves against any aggression. Okay, so that's the first official word really coming out of Iran at this given point of time. Kamran, what do you make of this and the tone in which this first reaction is coming out from Iran?
It basically tells me that, my hunch is right. This was symbolic. They needed a placeholder. They needed to do something, not to lose time, because, mind you, the Iranians, could lose credibility both at home and among their allies in the region if they didn't do anything and quickly. So they needed to do something, and they needed to do it in a way that did not that would not elicit another response from Washington. So I think Jawad Zarif just basically, the foreign minister, I didn't quite catch who you were referring to.
Yes, Jawad Zarif, that's right. The
foreign minister
of Iran.
Yeah, Jawad Zarif is basically giving it, officially putting the stamp on that theory right there.
But Stewart, is this it? Is this that severe revenge or hot air that Iran was talking about, or is there more to the action they would like to take? And do you believe that after this, there will be no action taken by the United States, and this was sort of known that this is going to happen?
No, for the United States action, we'll see what happens. Right now, Trump is giving a deck of saying, okay, well, what's going to happen? Like, do you want to have a soft response or the hardest response? So what Trump's going to do within the next 2 to 3 hours, essentially, we'll find out, and essentially all bets are safe. When it comes to Iran, though, I mean, they're going to need to pressure the United States to relinquish, their aggression in this, conflict, or at least tell them exactly what they need to do to get back to the diplomatic table. So I would assume that in areas where Iran actually has allies, like Lebanon, Yemen, and so forth, that the conflicts there are going to escalate themselves.
All right. Kamran, what's your understanding of how far really this is going to go? Because I'm just going back to what the president had said. The president had made it clear that if any sort of U.S. installation or perhaps any American soldiers or personnel were injured, if Iran were to take action, there will be a retaliatory measure which will be swift, fast, and hard, according to President's tweet. How do you think this is going to shape up? Kamran.
So 2 things here. Number one is that I think that message was received loud and clear from Iran, that they did not intend to attack in a way that would basically cross that red line set by President Trump. They already lost General Soleimani after the death of the contractor, but my view is that it wasn't just the death of the contractor. It was a buildup of everything over the past few months, and the United States was ignoring for a long time. Now, I think that the Iranians are saying, okay, let's not run to that red line. They run to that red line, but they don't want to cross it. And then the problem is that no military operation can be calibrated in a way where you can guarantee that there won't be any casualties. So, therefore, battle damage assessments have to be done, and then we have to see what happens. So, if there was a loss of life, if that had taken place, then I would say that the United States would be gearing up for a counterstrike. But because we don't have any, the only loss of life is Iraqi. Therefore, or at least that's what the reports are saying. Therefore, I don't think that the Trump administration is compelled to respond.
Okay. Stewart, if you can throw some more light for our viewers who are joining us at the moment of these 2 locations that were chosen by Iran. We understand this is al-Asad base as well as Erbil, and news has come in that Erbil was attacked, but the missile did not go off. Whereas in the al-Asad base, perhaps the possibility of some sort of damage. Can you throw some more light on these bases, please?
Well, al-Asad air base has been both used by the United States and by Iraqi forces. It has been in the center of the country in Ansar province, and has been effective within the fight against ISIS. It is a huge compound. Now, Erbil, on the other hand, is actually also used by special forces, not only for the United States, but Canada, Italy, and our allies, and they're more in the front lines of the fight against ISIS in Kurdish territory. Now, depending if the missile just landed in Erbil province and was just a dummy, which is highly unlikely, it would send a message regardless. But tomorrow morning, when it comes to the Canadians and all our other allies, we're already starting to pull out enforced protection to protect some of our troops. It depends if we're going to start moving out of that airbase, and what other allies are going to do across Iraq, which might weaken the coalition as a whole.
Okay, in fact, I have some more news that's coming in right now. And Kamran, this is exactly what you were saying a couple of moments ago in some information that's coming in. The United States is not aware of any casualties resulting from Iran's missile strikes on 2 Iraqi military bases, but the situation is still being assessed. That's what is coming in from a U.S. official familiar with the early assessment of the situation over there. So this is exactly what you were saying, Kamran.
Yes, look, one has to, whenever there is a military strike or there is some, showdown in terms of, forces colliding with one another, there is something called battle damage assessment. And that's an extensive exercise that's done. It takes time to do that. So to be perfectly sure that there are no casualties, you need time. So when people start reporting, and the Iranian media was going wild with claims of, X number of Americans killed or wounded. That's just pure false. That's misinformation, disinformation, psychological operations that are going on, because there's no way for the Iranians to know how many people got killed because they're so far away from that base. It takes time. This isn't something that you can just zoom in a camera and look into it. Yeah. So I think that's what the United States authorities are doing right now. The fact that the President Trump, the reports are saying that President Trump is not going to make a statement.
That's right.
That's a good sign. It means that the president already knows that we've not had casualties. There's no need to come on TV. And if he was to come on TV, I'd be more worried about an escalation.
Okay. Stewart, your assessment of what we've just heard right now on the wires, news is coming in that there is in the initial news that's coming, that there is no casualty right now resulting from these strikes. So that's a good sign. And perhaps we will not see a response from the United States, which could be more escalating in nature.
Well, that's true. I mean, at least in the short term. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
Sure.
President Trump will probably come out and at least address that the attacks happened. And, we'll see what his reaction is, especially after, minds have cooled down a little bit. But there will be some sort of retaliation in Iran against Iran in some degree. So it may not be militarily, but strengthening, economic sanctions, more diplomatic coercion through Iran's allies. But I mean, Iran definitely had to save their face tonight. But when it comes to what the United States reaction will be, well, I mean, only time will tell.
Meanwhile, I want to talk about Iraq in this entire situation. It's been caught between this conflict, if I may call it right now, between the United States, or escalation between the United States as well as Iran. Kamran, what's your understanding of how do you see Iraq being able to sort of play a role in this situation? Because Soleimani died on Iraqi soil. These bases are Iraqi bases that have been attacked. How do you see this play out?
Well, to be perfectly blunt, Iraq isn't a real country in the sense of a cohesive state. It is a very shattered state ever since the United States toppled the Saddam government. The United States worked very hard for a long time trying to put in a new democratic country. But unfortunately, the fact that the United States allied itself with pro-Iranian factions to topple Saddam, basically hardwired this problem into this entire, system. And so Iraq is full of pro-Iranian elements. It's a Shia majority country. The political principles of the Iraqi Shia community are, beholden to Iran. They're sandwiched between the United States. They need the United States as well. They can't just rely on Iran, but Iran has heavy influence over them. So I don't think Iraq has a choice.
Just hold your thoughts for a moment. Sorry for interrupting you there. There's more news that's coming in. The president has actually responded to the ongoing situation. Here's a tweet that he has sent out. Let me read it out for our viewers. He's saying, "All is well. Missiles launched from Iran at 2 military bases located in Iraq. Assessment of casualties and damages taking place now. So far, so good. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far. I will be making a statement tomorrow morning." So that's the first reaction that's coming in from US President Donald Trump after, of course, Iran has launched that attack, attacking bases in Iraq, 2 of them. The president saying all is well, and he will be making a statement tomorrow morning. He's saying so far, so good. First reactions coming in from Donald Trump. I'll quickly get in Stewart in this conversation. Stewart, your reaction to what Trump is saying?
Well, and again, I mean, as we've been discussing that, yeah, of course, the damage assessment has shown that U.S. casualties have been incurred, or coalition to that effect, except for the Iraqis. But again, as we'll see until tomorrow morning, what Trump's statement is and what the actions after that happens. It could be literally anything.
It could be literally.
Well, maybe not literally, not to the point that there's going to be a full-scale invasion of Iran, but when it comes to a small, strike in Iran, or possibly economic sanctions, or just more diplomatic action, we'll see.
That's the question, that how far the United States will really go, because somewhere the president has also to keep his word, because he had said that, there will be no toleration of any sort of escalation where Iran is concerned. And that's the question, Kamran. What are the options you see that the United States now has? Because the president, of course, has said all is well. So far, so good. No reports of casualty at the moment. He will be making a statement tomorrow. How far will he go?
I think that if he's saying so far so good, I think that we're 80% of the way there, in the sense that I think the confidence level, because when the president needs to make a statement, he asks his advisors, what is the best assessment, and he needs a bottom line. And how confident are you that there aren't American casualties? And I won't look bad by giving a statement that all is good, and then later we find out that, oh, we lost some soldiers, or there were casualties, or people got wounded. So if he went ahead and made that, issued that tweet, it's likely that they're pretty confident that that assessment is not going to change a whole lot. And so whatever statement comes in the morning is going to be a bit more detailed. I expect him to come out and say, hey, we're still warning Iran to not escalate, and Iran needs to take the right action. He'll maybe throw out a few threats. And as my co-panelist was saying, he may announce some more sanctions, possibly on preventing the sale of parts to develop missiles and rockets, stuff like that. But I think that the world has dodged a bullet, if you will, this evening.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But, I also want to know, how has this changed the ongoing situation? We knew there's going to be a response from Iran. Iran has responded in the way it did tonight. But how has this changed the ongoing situation? And that question's for Stewart, and I'll have the same question for Kamran as well. Stewart, you go ahead, please.
Well, Iran had to save face. They've had to do something, as we've discussed. And, we'll see what happens in the long term. Like I said before, that the United States and Iran have to get back to some sort of diplomatic conversation. And so Iran's going to
Do you see that happening soon, Stewart? Is there scope right now, looking at how this all has escalated in a couple of hours? Do you see that diplomatic channel open in any way?
Within the next couple of days, definitely not. It really depends on what the American reaction is going to be, and if there can be any mediation between anyone who wants to step up and be a mediator. And at this point, I think things need to fizzle down a little bit before that's actually a realistic option.
Okay, Kamran.
I think that, look, I agree with Stewart that we're not there yet. Because of the killing of Soleimani, the conditions are not right for getting back to the negotiating table just yet. But bear in mind that war is not waged for the sake of war. The war is designed to shape perceptions of the other side that you couldn't get through diplomatically. But eventually you want to get back to the negotiating table. So the United States has no appetite for a major war against Iran. The Iranians certainly do not want to be devastated in that. They're already very vulnerable financially and economically. It's in the interest of both sides. The question is, how do you get from this escalatory situation where they've climbed up to come back? And I will say that, look, the battle space remains active. At the same time, the back channels remain active as well. So there are back channel communications going on. And they're always, that messaging always takes place, even at the worst of times, because that's just the nature of how war is conducted between two sides.
Okay, so we'll have to wait now what the president has to say tomorrow morning on the ongoing situation. But we appreciate the time you spent with us this evening, gentlemen. Stewart Webb, editor at DefenceReport.com, as well as Kamran Bukhari, founding director of the Center for Global Policy in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.